Hello and welcome to Into the Halo, a Warrior Nun fan podcast. I'm Kimberly.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Sheila, and this is our Introductions podcast. So, who are we? Well, you've heard me and Kimberly on our other podcast at Forever Fangirls.
Yes, and I'm also an author of mystery series.
And many folks have heard me on podcasts. Oh, goodness, I've been podcasting for about 15 years. Many different topics and shows, genre shows. Most recently for Winona Earp at Tales of the Black Badge, and covering all the genre shows with a couple of friends over at Tuning It to Sci-Fi TV. But I'm sure some of you might have found us from some of those other podcasts, but the reason you're here probably isn't so much focused there. It's like, why are you folks doing a podcast now for Warrior Nun? A show that came out almost a year ago. So that's something we wanted to touch a little bit on here. I mean, speaking for myself, I greatly enjoyed the show when it came out. I've done some rewatches and, things I want to talk about, but didn't have any other podcasting friends that were really that deep into it. And I had the good fortune, being a listener of Forever Fangirls, of hearing the two of you cover it. So that's what kind of launched me into this.
And of course, when Kevin said, "Would you like to do this?" I was thinking, wait, Kevin, the podcasting voice? He wants us to do this with him? So, of course, we said yes.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer when you absolutely enjoy a show and then you have another podcaster asking you to work with them and they are the voice. So, I mean, as far as I was concerned and Sheila was concerned, it did not take long to decide on this. So that takes me into, well, how are we going to present all of these episodes? Because, it's a short Netflix season. So how are we going to break it up? Well, the way we figured it, we're going to do one podcast episode on episodes 1 through 3, one on 4 through 6, one on 7 through 9, and then 10 is getting its own. There's just, it has to.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to discuss on episode 10. And to also kind of round it out, we thought that we would have some live events on some of the topic discussions that come out of Warrior Nun.
Yeah, because we're looking at probably several of you that are longtime fans of the show since it came out. And we also are sure we have some brand new listeners who haven't seen anything yet. So we want to make sure to, as we said, bring out those episode discussions, give you a chance to watch some of the episodes. We'll do a podcast about them. So that way, if you're new, you can know you're safe to listen to certain episodes as we go along. But also, since many of you are already fans of the show, as you know, without getting spoilery, because this is a spoiler-free episode here, there are many topics within the show that we definitely want to dive deep into. And those would be a lot more fun if we could get you folks involved. So that's what we were brainstorming a little along with pre-recorded podcasts. How else could we do it to maybe get some of the fandom and folks involved?
And that's where our live video sessions that will end up on YouTube, where we're going to be there on video, having conversations with you and covering random topics that really Warrior Nun has brought to the forefront. It could be something as simple as an episode or something much more entailed.
Like major themes of good versus evil, character breakdowns, or anything that's on Kimberly's mega list, which we will not discuss here. We will bring that back up in later episodes.
Oh, yeah, it's coming back. But it's very spoilery, so we can't go into it. But when we tried to put a few topic ideas together to tease you folks, I think Sheila and I might have had 3 or 4, and Kimberly's list has how many?
16.
And that's only with a few days to put it together. So it's going to grow from there. But if you're a fan of the show, you understand why. That's the good side of this.
I'm just going to say it's not that bad, and it could have been worse.
No, and it's not bad. We're only teasing you because like I said, Sheila and I are like, I got 2. I think I got 3. Let's see what oh, look at that list. We're going to have to really rewatch those episodes and take some notes.
Yeah. But speaking of the notes and wow, okay, yeah, no, that list, that there's not one topic in there that I don't think has like several questions underneath it to go to the major topic.
Yeah, can't wait to get to a lot of it, really. That's why we say we didn't want to, for those that are new, that's fine, because since we'll be doing them live up on YouTube, if you want, I mean, we'll announce the days and times. You can be there to interact in the chat with us and maybe throw a topic or an idea or a question. But even if you can't be there live, the video will be available to watch later. And Kimberly's going to work hard as our editor, and she'll be able to pull some of the audio so we can release those as podcasts. And if you are someone who's new and maybe hasn't got far enough yet, you can just set those aside and listen later on once you've watched all 10 episodes. So we're going to try to make it work for everybody, both newbies and folks who are already big-time fans.
So now that you know all that, I am going to let you know that since Kevin has now outed me as the editor, I am
all the credit, all the blame.
All the credit. I'm going to be aiming for Friday releases so that you can enjoy it on your weekend, or you can enjoy it on the way home from work or to work, whatever. But Friday is my aim and my goal. Friday's a release.
But not every Friday, correct?
No, not every Friday. Once a month, you will have a new podcast. There will also be like Kevin had mentioned, the videos, and those will be interspliced.
Yeah, those will be a little more random time somewhere in between, but you can hopefully look, if things stay on track, at least a, shall we say, a produced podcast about once a month, and then the video events, be it either as a podcast, if that's the way you want to do it, or on the video side, thrown in there as well, especially because we're recording this episode here in late April 2021. So we'll be looking mainly to work through the summer as far as covering the episodes, and then the topics themselves will, based on Kimmy's list, running for months or years. As we look forward to season 2. For those who aren't aware, it has already been announced there will be a season 2. We just don't know when yet. So we'll have plenty to lead up to that. I'm sure we'll end up doing some season 2 speculation in here somewhere too. You can bank on that for sure. But
I just really want to add more to my list. I'm sorry.
I'm sure you're going to add more to your list. I bet even Sheila and I might. We'll note it, though, with an asterisk, so you know it's not one of yours. And speaking of adding to that list, certainly, folks, too, we very much want to make this a community podcast where you folks get to be a part of it. So even if you're not attending any of those live events, always on any of our podcasts here at the very end, we'll list the information on how you can contact us. Be it social media or email. So if you have an idea or a question related to the podcast or topics, please don't hesitate to reach out here. That's what makes podcasting so much more fun, and why I've had so much fun myself doing it for years, is that community aspect to all of this. Speaking of our community, it was great. Even before we recorded our first podcast, we got an opportunity to bring one of our followers, at least on Twitter, in to get a shot to check out the Warrior Nun panel that was done as part of Klexicon Virtual here in the middle of April. We had an extra ticket to that, so we did a giveaway on Twitter. And congrats to Moral in Shadows. Link in the show notes if you want to take a look at our congrat tweets. On that one, was able to watch the Warrior Nun panel. It was done there with a few of the cast members. So that was a lot of fun to kind of, that opportunity just kind of fell in our lap. We got a chance to do that, and it was a lot of fun.
And we will definitely be talking about that panel in a future episode. So there's a lot to discuss.
Yeah.
I think some things are in the mega list.
That list.
But it was great. I don't know about you, ladies, but that was the first time I got a chance to see some of the cast in shall we say, a more casual environment.
Yes, absolutely. That was the first time I definitely saw Christina.
It just seeing all three of them together and, hearing them talk about the show and their surprise and all the other things that we'll get into at another time. But it was so refreshing and fun. And it was just that their exuberance just oozed off my monitor, Yeah,
it's that energy you can feel. I mean, this is a virtual con, as most of you know, with the pandemic going on. But even so, the moderator did a great job bringing in some fan questions and some of them talking about, all kinds of different subjects. So as Sheila said, we'll wait and go into some more depth on that in an upcoming podcast. But it was fun, not only to get to see it, but also to get to share it with one of our, hopefully, new listeners, or at least a follower on Twitter. But related to that, even though this is our intros episode, we did want to add in a news item here because of the timely nature of it. There's a great community on Twitter, if you're not already aware, for Warrior Nun. And there is a Twitter account, link in the show notes. Warrior Nun Promo is the name of the Twitter account. They're helping to organize what's being called a fanzine for Warrior Nun, where folks can submit different things, articles, poetry, photo edits, fan art, things like that. The ways a lot of us are enjoying the show and the creativity that's in the fandom. But they're looking for some submissions. And the deadline is in May, which is why we wanted to bring this in here now, May the 21st, I believe. So if you are someone who's the creative type or has something you want to maybe take a look at, please take a look at the link in our show notes. You can find us online, as you'll hear at the very end, at warriornunpodcast.com. Try to keep it simple for you, to the different episode releases and the show notes there on some of the items that we bring out that you can take a look at. But if you are the type who wants to submit something, go ahead and get that in there. And if not, maybe by the time you're hearing this, if it's sometime after that date, because we know folks listen to podcasts weeks or months or years after they're released, follow the link and maybe get a chance to check out what was in that fanzine. I'm sure it'll be shared online.
And with that, I think that will do it for our introductory show of Into the Halo, a Warrior Nun fan podcast.
We truly appreciate you tuning in, and I really, on a personal note, cannot wait to attack my mega list.
We're going to have like a special event where we reveal items in the mega list as over the course of time as a tease or something. It'll be a lot of fun, but no, it'll be a lot of fun talking about those topics and the episodes and interacting with all of you folks. So we appreciate you taking the time to download and listen. We know there's a ton of great podcasts out there nowadays. So if you're hearing our voices, that means you took a shot at us. Hopefully we've enticed you enough to want to come back to hear us actually talk about the episodes and the show, and be a part of our community. Everything's free here, no charge for our podcasts or interacting with us. We're going to have a lot of fun. Can't wait for you folks to come along on this journey with us.
If you'd like to contact us here at Into the Halo, we offer a few different options. You can send us an email at intothehalopodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on Twitter at WarriorNunPod. If you prefer to leave us a voicemail, please go to speakpipe.com/intothehalopodcast, where you can leave us your 90-second message. We'll have all this information and much more on our website, warriornunpodcast.com, and in every episode's description. Thank you so much for listening, and we look forward to hearing from you.